Winterfell, the ancient seat of House Stark, and the scene of two of the all-time great Game of Thrones battles. Winterfell was built 8,000 years ago by Brandon the Builder, founder of House Stark, after the end of the First Long Night. Winterfell is one of the largest castles in Westeros and undoubtedly the largest in the north, spanning several acres. It is encircled by two massive granite walls, the outer being 80 feet high and the inner being roughly 100. The complex is built over natural hot springs, piping water through walls and chambers to heat them, ensuring the castle remains habitable through the long, harsh winters. The innermost area is the Great Keep. It contains the bedchambers for House Stark, as well as a solar for the Lord of Winterfell. The building is connected to the armory by a covered bridge. The Great Hall is where guests are received, and it is made of gray stone and has wide doors made of oak and iron. It can hold 8 long rows of trestle tables and can seat 500 people, including a raised platform for noble guests. The courtyard houses the kitchen and the stables, along with multiple training yards, even allowing quintains to be set up for jousting. The Broken Tower was once the tallest watchtower, but it was partly destroyed by a lightning strike around 150 AC and has been abandoned since. The first keep is the tower that Jaime pushes Bran out of after being caught in an incestuous encounter with twin sister Cersei. For crops and vegetation, Winterfell has the Glass Gardens, a greenhouse heated by the hot springs which allows for fruits, vegetables, and flowers to be grown and stored. The garden has green and yellow glass panes locked in frames. Next to the gardens is the Godswood, with the famous sacred weirwood tree at its center. Enclosed by walls, the Godswood has remained untouched for 10,000 years. The bell tower is connected to a rookery by a bridge. The bridge is covered and runs from the 4th floor of the tower to the 2nd floor of the rookery. Below the tower are the Maester's quarters. Underneath the castle are the crypts we see a few times in the main series. First when Robert asks Ned to take him to Lyanna's tomb, and then again in the Battle of Winterfell when they are used as a refuge. This is where the Starks are buried upon death. These long, narrow vaults are supported by 2 rows of pillars along its length. Between the pillars are statues of each Stark, seated on a stone throne, with iron swords set before them and snarling dire wolves at their feet. The Red Keep. Sitting atop Aegon's high hill in King's Landing, the keep is the royal castle. Construction was started by Aegon Targaryen during his conquest with his Aegon Fort, with the Red Keep then built on top of it, starting in 35 AC. It is made of pale red stone, hence the name, and overlooks the mouth of the Blackwater Rush. Although smaller than Winterfell on the surface, the castle extends deep underground. The Red Keep is protected on 3 sides by sheer cliffs, with access on the 4th side via a single serpentine staircase. Massive curtain walls surround the castle, with nests for the archers. Stone parapets, around 4 feet high, protect the outer edge of the walls where the heads of traitors are traditionally placed on iron spikes for the world to see. The castle quarters include Maegor's Holdfast, the small council chambers, the Tower of the Hand, the Black Cells, and the Great Hall. The hall contains the Iron Throne, which sits on a raised dais at the end of a long carpet that stretches from the hall's doors. The hall is large enough to host 1,000 people at once. Maegor's Holdfast is a massive square fortress inside of the Red Keep, almost a castle within a castle. It is protected by walls 12 feet thick and a dry moat lined with spikes. It includes the royal apartments and the king's bedchambers with twin hearths. It also contains a ballroom for the queen. The Tower of the Hand contains the chambers of the hand of the king and the small hall. It has a solar and a garderobe. Initially, the small council room was far from the hand's chambers, but Tywin Lannister transferred the council room closer to his quarters for the sake of convenience in Season 3. Other towers contain the White Sword Tower, for the members of the Kingsguard, the Maiden Vault, the Kitchen Keep, the Rookery, snug apartments for the small council, and a Godswood. The keep also has an extensive network of secret passages. After this network of stone and earthwork tunnels was constructed, King Maegor the Cruel executed the builders to keep their existence a secret. The Holdfast is the only building that has no hidden passages, to avoid rats in the walls. By the end of the series, the keep has fallen due to dragonfire, which created a thermal shock that collapsed almost the entire structure, with Jaime and Cersei and many others trapped within it. And remember, if you're enjoying this video, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future videos. Harrenhal. Once considered the absolute pinnacle of castle engineering and construction, this fortress was strategically positioned to dominate the Trident and project power across the Riverlands and Crownlands. Thanks to its unrivaled scale, Harrenhal earned a reputation as an impenetrable fortress. The mighty stronghold was built by Harren Hor and finished in 2 BC after 40 years of relentless construction and the deaths of thousands of builders. Situated on entirely flat terrain, it covers 3 times as much ground as Winterfell, with individual buildings so massive that nothing in the realm can rival them. It was built of uneven stone blocks, and its profile is dominated by its sprawling walls and 5 immense round towers of black stone. The King's Pyre Tower contains the Castellan's chambers and connects to the Widow's Tower via a stone bridge, where prisoners are kept beneath the floors. We get a close look inside this tower when Arya becomes the cupbearer for Tywin Lannister in Season 2. The Wailing Tower has storerooms on the ground floor, while the Tower of Dread and the Tower of Ghosts are situated towards the Middle Bailey and on the east side, respectively. Inside, the Hall of 100 Hearths stands as the largest room in Westeros. Despite actually containing only 35 hearths, it is said to be capable of entertaining an entire army. The sprawling exterior grounds also contain a godswood and a massive stable built to accommodate royal-scale households. But Harrenhal's greatest asset, its mind-bending scale, turned out to be its fatal weakness. Because it sits on flat terrain, it has very little natural defense. While its sprawling fortifications could theoretically be the strongest in existence if fully manned, the number of troops required to garrison the massive space daily was almost impossible to sustain. The fortress's eventual destruction came not from traditional raids or sieges, but from fire. In 2 BC, Aegon Targaryen flew high atop Balerion the Dread and rained black fire down onto the stronghold. The immense heat twisted and melted the great black stone towers like candles, killing Harren, his family, and his men. Since then, Harrenhal's still habitable ruins have belonged to many houses, including to Daemon Targaryen in House of the Dragon Season 2 when he uses it as his base. But all owners have suffered misfortunes ranging from madness to extinction, leading many to believe that the ruins are cursed. Castle Black serves as a central location throughout Game of Thrones. It is where much of Jon Snow's storyline unfolds, the site of the Battle of Castle Black, and the harsh, unforgiving backdrop for key moments in the larger conflict with the White Walkers. Of the 19 castles built along the wall, it is the largest and most important. This rugged collection of stone towers and timber keeps serves as the primary headquarters of the Night's Watch. Situated at the northern end of the King's Road, Castle Black owes its existence to the Wall. Raised over 8,000 years ago in the aftermath of the Long Night, this colossal barrier of ice was expanded over the centuries by the Night's Watch to staggering proportions. 300 miles long, over 700 feet high, and up to 300 feet thick in places. To man this gargantuan barrier, the castle features a massive winch-powered lift system to carry sentries and weaponry up to the battlements. Unusually, there are no defenses at all on the west, east, or south sides. The reason is simple: the Night's Watch is there only to guard against monsters from the north. If an enemy ever attacks from the south, it is already too late to stop them. Of the stronghold's key structures, the most prestigious is the Keeper's Tower, home to the Lord Commander. Its upper floors hold his private chambers, while the lower floors provide quarters for steward brothers. Nearby stands the King's Tower, reserved exclusively for royalty and great lords. Of the remaining towers, the Lance is the tallest, reaching roughly a third of the wall's height, though it is also the most structurally fragile. By contrast, the Tower of Guards is the sturdiest of the lot, with Harden's Tower and the Silent Tower rounding out the skyline. At ground level, the Common Hall serves as a no-frills gathering space where the brothers eat, warmed by a great hearth that does its best against the northern cold. The Maester operates out of the Rookery, breeding ravens and crows to carry messages across the realm. Nearby, the Armory handles weapons storage and training, while the Flint Barracks, one of the oldest buildings in the castle, provides sleeping quarters and latrines for the rank-and-file brothers. Beneath the freezing ground, a network of subterranean passages connects every building, serving as a vital, protected route when the cold above becomes lethal. Casterly Rock. Often called the Rock, this is the formidable seat of House Lannister and the capital of the Westerlands Kingdom. Situated on the ocean road, the fortress overlooks the harbor of Lannisport and the Sunset Sea, with an appearance unlike any other castle. Almost 80% of it is carved directly into the mountain it sits on, with only a few additional towers built atop it. The overall profile is said to resemble a lion in repose at sunset. Casterly Rock is almost 2,100 feet high at its peak, making it nearly 3 times the height of the wall. Although the fortress is carved out of gray stone, its interior appears reddish and is extensively veined with gold. The rock itself forms the first and most formidable line of defense. Sheer cliffs on three sides drop straight into the sea or onto rocky ground, making exterior assaults impossible and siege towers redundant. Inside, the winding tunnels and stairways favor defenders who know the terrain, making invaders easy to trap, evade, or outflank. Hidden passages allow forces to move unseen to launch counterattacks, while high interior vantage points let archers rain fire down upon corridors and cavern mouths. Past these defensive choke points, the castle is accessed through massive entryways. The main entry on the south face, known as the Lion's Mouth, is a natural cavern reaching 200 feet high, approached by a stone stairway wide enough for 20 riders abreast. At the base of the west face, the sea gates are large enough for galleys to sail directly into caverns beneath the rock. Below the docks are the mines, which run thousands of feet into the earth and act as protected routes for troops and storage corridors. Above them, the mid-level rooms and halls are spacious enough to host any royal visitors, along with their entire army host. The highest levels of the rock shelter guard posts and sentries, all linked by long stairways. Deep within this colossal structure lies the Golden Gallery, a chamber where Lannister treasures are displayed. Another enormous cavern, known as the Stone Garden, houses a godswood, which is dominated by a gnarled weirwood tree. In the TV series, the fortress is seen in Season 7 when the Unsullied make their assault on it. It is also mentioned when Tywin Lannister informs Cersei that their last working mine actually ran dry years ago. Contrary to the show, the books maintain Casterly Rock's historical status as the source of much of the gold in Westeros. Highgarden. This is the seat of House Tyrell, the capital of the Reach, also seen in Season 7 when Jaime and the Lannister forces take it with ease. Highgarden controls the richest farmland in Westeros, and is widely celebrated as the most beautiful castle in the realm. Its foundation spans millennia. Its oldest structures date back to the Age of Heroes, while its newer additions, tall, slender towers featuring round fortifications, were built long after the coming of the Andals. Perched atop a hill overlooking the Mander River, the dazzling white fortress is protected by a multi-layered defense system. The entire complex is surrounded by 3 white stone curtain walls that progressively increase in height. Highgarden compensates for a lack of natural defenses by essentially weaponizing its own beauty. Hidden between the outer and middle walls is a massive labyrinth that entertains guests but also doubles as a trap, stalling attackers and creating confusion. Furthermore, winding paths and sudden elevation changes heavily favor defenders who know the terrain. As these garden fortifications can only repel attackers for a limited time, a large, disciplined garrison is required to fully man the walls, towers, and gatehouses. The keep itself is decorated with statues, colonnades, groves, courtyards, and fountains. The structures are covered in ivy, grapes, and roses. Inside, the castle sept is enormous, matched in size only by the Great Sept of Baelor and the Starry Sept. In addition, the godswood contains 3 vast weirwoods known as the Three Singers. The sprawling stables and practice yards double as military training spaces and tournament grounds. Highgarden is well equipped to outlast any siege. Numerous wells, pools, and fountains, fed by underground water and the nearby river, eliminate the threat of thirst, while immense granaries and storehouses are enough to keep its defenders fed. The section we spend the most time in during the series is Olenna's chamber, where Jaime offers her poisoned wine and she calmly reveals that she killed Joffrey. Storm's End. Located at Durin's Point in the Stormlands, this is the formidable seat of House Baratheon. Built by Durin Godsgrief around 8000 BC, the stronghold features a massive outer wall that stands 100 feet high, 40 feet thick on its landward side, and nearly 80 feet thick on its seaward side, with a 150-foot drop straight into the sea. The fortress is constructed from pale gray, sea-polished stone wrapped around an inner core of sand and rubble, and uses tightly fitted blocks to minimize water and wind ingress. Designed to survive the wrath of both men and gods, the stronghold is said to be protected by ancient spells woven directly into its stone. Still, the Baratheons and the Durandons before them took more practical precautions as well. The massive walls are smooth and curving, intentionally designed to withstand extreme weather conditions. The castle's drainage systems and gutters are also engineered specifically to shed rain. Securing the fortress from beneath is a secret sea tunnel, accessible only at high tide. Leading to a cavern where the Stormlords built their landing, this passageway is lit by torches, heavily guarded by murder holes in its ceilings, and sealed shut by a portcullis with narrow bars. Past these barriers, the castle bypasses a traditional keep and instead features only one colossal drum tower. Crowned with fierce battlements, it resembles a huge spiked fist thrusting toward the sky and is big enough to house the granary, barracks, armory, feast hall, and the lord's chambers all at once. At the very top sit the Maester's cell and rookery, which are deliberately windowless on the side facing Shipbreaker Bay. The round hall serves as the main gathering space, alongside a large and sturdy great hall. Simple and stone-built, the Great Hall prioritizes warmth and security over decoration, hosting banners, meetings, and grand feasts. Throughout the stronghold, the living quarters remain thick-walled, compact, and easy to heat. This highly practical design and secret infrastructure proved vital during Robert's Rebellion. When the castle endured a brutal siege, its subjects' survival relied entirely on food smuggled in via the sea tunnels courtesy of Ser Davos Seaworth. Storm's End is heavily featured in House of the Dragon Season 1 when Lucerys lands in the castle courtyard and is escorted into Boros Baratheon's audience hall. It does not end well for the young lad. Old Town. Said to be the most beautiful city in Westeros, Old Town is the home of the Citadel. Located at the mouth of the Honeywine River on the Reach's southwest coast and home to House Hightower, the city is completely surrounded by massive, thick, high stone walls, all painted a light gray. Running through the settlement, the Honeywine acts as a navigable artery flanked by trading nodes with stone and wooden bridges that serve as strategic choke points. At the center of Old Town lies Battle Isle, home to the mighty Hightower, a massive, stepped lighthouse that is said to be the tallest structure in the Seven Kingdoms, making it even taller than the wall itself. Some claim you could actually see the wall from the very top, although no one has ever officially confirmed it. The tower features a changeable beacon fire, with each color representing a specific call or declaration. If the fire were to burn green, for example, the Hightower family is calling their banners to ride into war. In the TV series, we see this ancient city firsthand when Samwell Tarly journeys to Old Town to become a maester. We also see its 6 cells where Sam treats Jorah's grayscale. Next up is Sunspear. Often called the Old Palace, this is the capital of Dorne and the home of the Martell family. Located on the Broken Arm Peninsula, Sunspear is a sprawling settlement containing miles of narrow alleys, hidden courts, and noisy bazaars. The settlement is protected by 3 massive concentric walls, with gates that only align at the threefold gate, allowing a straight passage on a brick path directly to the fortress. The narrow streets themselves act as a fortification. They heavily favor defenders and can easily be abandoned and retaken whenever needed. One of the chief structures of the castle is the Sand Ship, a building designed to look like a dromon that is used for their ceremonies. 2 other structures were eventually added, and they are the first things one sees when arriving by land or sea. The spear tower is 150 feet high, with a further 30-foot gilded spear, and is used to hold noble prisoners. Beside it sits the domed Tower of the Sun, which houses the Prince or Princess of Dorne and contains twin seats, one inlaid with the Martell spear and the other bearing the Rhoynish sun. To overcome the arid heat of the Dorne, Sunspear utilizes a brilliant water management system of cisterns and wells. These, along with fountains and cooling pools, provide passive cooling, keeping the ground around them cool enough to walk on. Sunspear also boasts the Water Gardens, located 3 leagues away on a beach next to the summer sea. It is pale pink with terraces overlooking numerous pools and fountains, shaded by blood orange trees. We first hear of the beautiful water gardens from Oberyn Martell during Season 4 of the original series, and they are used for most of the Martell story. Sunspear is the one big exception on this breakdown, as Game of Thrones never actually shows Dorne's capital properly. Historically, Sunspear remains essentially unconquered, with Dorne only joining the Seven Kingdoms through the marriage of Prince Meryn Martell and Princess Daenerys Targaryen in 187 AC. Dragonstone. The original pre-conquest home of the Targaryens, as seen throughout House of the Dragon, Dragonstone was built around 314 BC as the westernmost outpost of the Valyrian freehold. Situated on a volcano at the mouth of Blackwater Bay, this fortress of fused black stone was forged with sorcery and dragonfire, giving it unrivaled strength and extreme fire resistance. Although true dragonfire can still cause major problems, Dragonstone really is the House of the Dragon. Dragon-themed decor is everywhere, from claws holding torches to dragon-framed gates doubling as rainspouts. The Sea Dragon Tower, reached by narrow, twisting stairs, houses apartments for nobles, as well as a maester's chamber and rookery. From there, one must cross the gallery and pass through the middle and inner defensive walls to reach the Stone Drum, a massive tower serving as the central keep. On the top floor of the drum lies the Chamber of the Painted Table, where Aegon the Conqueror carved and painted his legendary map of Westeros. This gets a full introduction in Game of Thrones Season 7, when Daenerys lands on the beach, crosses the empty courtyard, and enters the Chamber of the Painted Table. House of the Dragon makes the chamber one of the castle's defining spaces, using it repeatedly as Rhaenyra and the Blacks plan the war. Beyond the imposing black towers, Aegon's garden houses tall dark trees, wild roses, towering thorny hedges, and cranberries. The castle harnesses the volcano via heat vents and sulfur deposits that heat its rooms and its baths. The mountain also contains obsidian-rich caves, perfect for mass-producing anti-white weapons. If you're wondering where the rest of the castles are, don't worry, we have part 2 coming soon.